Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me this morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are in the world. Let me make sure we have everything set up. And if you can see me and hear me, please let me know in the chat. Okay, let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, fantastic. All right. While I'm just still getting everything set up, why don't you also let me know where you are watching from? I see my mom in the chat watching from Bethel, Connecticut in the US. Where else are you from? Cambodia, Paris, Italy. All right, Italy, Poland. Good morning from Mexico, Sao Paulo, Ethiopia, Russia, Colorado, Argentina, Paris, Florida, Sao Paulo, Kosovo, Spain. Wow. Okay, this is awesome. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. I love seeing you all from around the world. Fantastic. All right. Would you guys believe that this is my first live stream in more than 5 years? It has been quite a long time. I'm a little nervous. So if you like my class, please give me some encouragement in the comments. Okay. Afghanistan, Indonesia, Barcelona, Taiwan, Palestine, Italy, Chile, Haiti. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to get distracted by looking at the chat all the time. So let me just get my presentation set up and we will get started. Okay. Share screen. Share it with you. Okay. Can you all see my presentation? Please tell me if the presentation is now on the screen. Yes. Perfect. All right. So, today we're here to learn about 5 things stopping you from reaching fluent English and how you can get past them. I'm going to give you some very practical suggestions today. And I also want to let you know that I've got a little free gift for you if you watch to the end, okay? So watch for the secret link. There will be a secret link for you to download, just a little gift to help you with your English learning. So first, let me ask, what does fluent English mean to you? What words come to mind when you think about fluency? Or what would you be able to do if you were fluent? Let's see some answers in the chat, and I'm going to read them out. I think it will take a minute. Natural. Pronunciation, maybe good pronunciation, to be able to understand native speakers. Proud, speaking without searching for your words. That's a great one. Similarly, not having to stop. Talk with confidence, understand native speakers, speaking easily without stress. Vocabulary, being able to talk about everything, right, without limits or restrictions based on lacking vocabulary, speaking without being nervous. Awesome. Well, your answers are right on track with some of the research I did. So in my opinion, if your English is fluent, it means you can easily understand virtually, that means almost everything you hear, even at fast native speed. Hold on a second. My presentation is going without me advancing it. Okay, let's do it like this. Okay. Fluent English, you can easily understand virtually everything you hear, even at fast native speed, and everything you read, including more complex or abstract texts, right? So understanding things easily. You can also summarize information from various spoken and written sources. So not only can you understand it, but then you can actually give your own summary. You can say it in your own words. This is right what you guys were saying. If your English is fluent, it means you can effortlessly participate in any conversation and discussion, expressing yourself spontaneously and precisely, that means accurately, with smoothly flowing phrases, descriptions, logical arguments, etc. So speaking without stress, speaking without stopping. It also means you can differentiate, you can make the difference between finer shades of meaning, even in highly complex situations. So these are things like knowing the difference between happy and ecstatic. Okay, ecstatic is like super happy, extremely excited, like wow. Uneasy versus agitated. Those two words both mean kind of worried, but uneasy is kind of like a quiet, persistent worry, whereas agitated is like a really energetic, nervous worry, okay? Interested versus curious versus nosy. So if you're interested in something, that's just neutral. Could be in a good way, could be in a bad way. Curious is seen as a positive quality, whereas nosy is also meaning someone is interested, but it's got a negative connotation. It's like someone who's sticking their nose into your business. So they're interested in your life, but not in a good way. Okay, so these are finer shades of meaning. Really knowing this vocabulary and when to use each type of word, because they're similar, but they're not the same. This is another characteristic of fluent English. So to sum it up, if your English is fluent, it means you are comfortable, you're confident, it feels easy to understand and to speak, and you feel like yourself in the language, okay? You don't feel limited, you don't feel like a child, you feel like you can express yourself freely. So who wants that? Who wouldn't want that, right? It sounds awesome because fluency is. You can really relax and just enjoy being yourself in English. But some things can stop you from becoming fluent. I asked this question to my students by email. Maybe some of you replied, and I got a lot of really great and honest answers about what kinds of things are blocking you from becoming fluent. And so I'm going to go over the top 5 today and give you some suggestions, some tips, some really practical things you can do to get past these barriers and really reach your goal of fluency. Okay, number 1, these aren't really in order, but I think the first one was the one that was most mentioned, is lack of practice, okay? So there's no instant solution for fluency. We can't do this, just download English into our brain, right? I wish we could. No, I don't wish we could, because that would put me out of business at Espresso English. But we cannot download a new language into our brain, so we have to practice. It is essential. You need to put in the time to practice English if you want your English to get better and get more fluent. But a lot of students who cited this reason of lack of practice said things like, I don't live in an English-speaking country, okay? I'm curious, just tell me in the chat, do you live in an English-speaking country? Write yes or no. Let's see. Well, I know from a lot of your replies in the beginning that a lot of you are not living in English-speaking countries. Maybe you don't have any English speakers around you. So I see no, 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 no. Yeah, most of you do not live in an English-speaking country. Yes, I see a couple of yeses. Okay. So if you don't live in an English-speaking country, you might feel like, I don't have any opportunities to practice, so I can't become fluent. But it doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter. And here's why. This might surprise you. I know people who live in the US, but they are not looking for practice opportunities. They are not trying to practice. Seeking is another word for looking for. And they are not fluent. My husband is one of these people. He is from Brazil. He has been in the US for 8 years. He is married to an English teacher, married to me, but he's not seeking out practice opportunities, and so he is not fluent. He's maybe intermediate level, okay? I've known other students who have been in the US or in another English-speaking country for years or even decades, but because they are not intentional about seeking out practice, Just living in an English-speaking country has not made them fluent. On the other hand, I've known students who live outside the US, or I'll say outside any English speaking country, and who have never been to any English speaking countries, but because they make it a point, they make it a priority to seek practice as much as possible, they can reach fluency, and they have reached fluency. I've met people, again, who have never been to an English speaking country, but because they are active in seeking practice, they have become fluent. So I hope this is encouraging to you and showing you that the determining factor is not whether or not you live in an English speaking country, which is not really in your control, right? It's hard to just pick up and move your whole life to another country, but whether or not you are looking for and participating in practice opportunities. And that is something you can do. So, as I said, if you do not look for or create opportunities to practice, then you will not get much practice. So, how can you find or create those opportunities? You might just have to think a little bit outside the box, think a little bit creatively if you don't live in an English-speaking country. But here are some of the ways that successful students, in my experience, have gotten their practice. One is by participating in a speaking exchange. This is where you go online and you find a person who is trying to learn your native language, trying to learn French, trying to learn German, trying to learn Spanish, and you set a time to meet, and you each practice so sometimes in, let's say, Spanish, and you help them with their Spanish, and then you practice in English, and then they help you with your English. It's beautiful. It's a great way to make connections from all over the world, and it's a fantastic way to practice your English, and the other person gets to practice your native language. I didn't put any specific websites here because there are a lot of them. If you search for conversation exchange, you should find sites that specialize in facilitating this type of interaction. So that's one way you can get practice regardless of whether or not you live in an English-speaking country. Another way is to listen to English as much as possible. If you are in an English-speaking country, you'll hear English, around town, on the street, and in the grocery store. But if you're not in an English-speaking country, then you won't have that experience. But you can immerse yourself by downloading podcasts, listening to videos, listen to my podcast. I think I saw somebody who loved my podcast on here. Thank you. Download as much English audio as possible and listen to it throughout your day. There are a lot of times in our days, I find, when we're doing something that doesn't really require our full attention. This could be, for me, it's like washing dishes, folding laundry, doing housework. It could be in the car or on the train, commuting to work. I had a couple of students in Brazil who had about an hour commute. So from their home to their work, it was about an hour each way. So they had 2 hours a day that they were in the car, usually stuck in traffic. But they used those 2 hours to listen to English. And so that's 2 hours of almost being like in an English speaking country because they were just immersing themselves and listening to as much English as possible. Okay. So try to immerse yourself in English by listening as much as possible. Even if you don't understand all of it, it's still helping put that English into your brain and helping you practice your comprehension. And in my courses, if any of you are members of my courses, you know that every course includes audio that you can download and use in this way. You can read in English online. I know that books aren't always available in your country, but you can read online any of a zillion websites. And I recommend starting with topics that you're interested in because that will be more motivating to you than just reading about any old topic. And you can practice writing in English. You can do this on social media. You can try starting your own blog. You can type it into a website like Grammarly and actually get it corrected, which is pretty cool. So you can just do that. Challenge yourself to write a little bit in English every day, maybe keep a journal. All of these are things you can do outside of an English-speaking country. And then I wanted to let you know that inside the Espresso English Academy, we have some practice opportunities built in by quizzes with every lesson to help you review and practice what you've learned. And this, I think, is really one of the best parts. A lot of the courses include speaking and writing tasks with feedback from our teaching team. So, for example, if you've just learned about some phrasal verbs, you will have a writing task where we ask you to use those phrasal verbs in your own English, and you can send it in and get it corrected. And we have the same thing for speaking. You can record yourself, and then we'll help you out with your pronunciation, your phrases, anything else. And we have a brand new student community called the Conversation Cafe. It's like a private social media network, and our students are in there also practicing writing in English, reading other students' replies every single day. So those are a few extra ways you get to practice if you join the Espresso English Academy. Okay, let's move on to number 2. The second fluency blocker is lack of confidence. So let me ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the least confident and 10 being the most confident, how confident do you feel in your English? Let's see some of your replies. Okay, I'll wait a second while the chat catches up. 7, 3, 5, right in the middle. 6, 4, 5, 5. A lot of fives. Okay. Depends on the people, right? Sometimes it depends on the people, depends on the situation. 8, awesome. 4, 6, let's see. 7, 9, wow, great, fantastic. 4, 3, 5. Okay, so I see a lot of people are in that middle area of 5, 6. You feel somewhat confident, but you know there's still room to improve, or you know there's still situations that just make you a little nervous. Here's something interesting I've found. Confidence is not necessarily related to English level. You might think that, oh, when I'm a beginner, I won't be confident, but as I get more and more advanced, I should become more and more confident. But maybe it will happen, but maybe not. You can be a confident beginner. I've seen people who know like 10 words and 3 phrases, but they use those 10 words and 3 phrases with confidence. They are absolutely secure in when to use them and how to pronounce them. Or you can be a more advanced student who still feels insecure. I've corrected a lot of student homework over the years, both of those speaking tasks and those writing tasks that I mentioned. And I see a lot of students who I would call them upper intermediate or even advanced. Their English is really excellent. And sometimes it's hard for me to even find things to correct or just, really minor things, but they'll still say things like, oh, sorry, I know my English is not so good. My English is terrible. And it's just not true. So it is possible to be advanced and still lack confidence. And that can hold you back from really being comfortable and feeling at ease in the language like we talked about in the beginning. So how can you build confidence? That's the good news, is that confidence is a skill that you can build alongside your English skills. One is just positive thinking and positive self-talk. I encourage my students, instead of saying or thinking things like, oh, my English is bad, sorry for my bad English, replace it with, I'm learning English and I'm getting better every day. Because it's true, you're learning and you're getting better every day. So try to focus on that positive side. Try to think about the things that you do well in English, or the things that you've accomplished. Maybe you spoke on the phone for the first time. That's something to celebrate. I know how nervous it can make you. So really try to shift your thinking from the negative, from focusing on what you can't do yet, to the positive, and it will help you become more confident. I would also encourage you not to compare yourselves to native speakers or compare yourself to maybe another English learner who you know, because it's just not productive. Everyone has their own English learning journey, and comparison doesn't help. Instead, compare yourself today to yourself a year ago or yourself 5 years ago, and then you will definitely be able to see and celebrate your progress. So tracking progress also helps you build your confidence. I often encourage students to keep an English journal, or sometimes I call it a success journal, where you just write down on each page of your notebook what you learned that day, what you accomplished. And then it's really cool to kind of look back through the notes, maybe at the end of the year or at the end of every month. Not only does it help you review, but it helps you see really how far you've come. Okay, so that's something anyone can do. Just grab a notebook, start your English success journal to track your progress. And also, the other thing that helps build confidence is what we talked about in the first point is practice. Practice, practice. If you're learning a lot, but you never try to use it, you won't be confident when you do have to use it. And so if you've learned a lot of phrases, but then the first time you're going to use them is when you go in for that job interview, you're just going to freeze. Your mind will go blank. So it's important to practice in a low pressure, friendly environment, right? Because it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you can get it corrected or you can just move on. And there's not that high stakes of a job interview or, another high pressure situation like that. So I would encourage you to practice in a friendly environment, like those conversation exchanges we talked about earlier, or inside the Espresso English Academy, we've got the student discussion area, which is really positive and friendly and encouraging. So just briefly, inside the Espresso English Academy, we help you build your confidence by, you can track your progress. So inside each course, you can check off the lessons as you go through them. I'm someone who really loves to make to-do lists and check them off or cross them out and see my progress. I find it very satisfying. So a lot of our students do too. You can also earn certificates when you finish a course. It's a digital certificate that confirms you've completed all the lessons in the course, and it's just a nice thing to have. You can print it out, you can put it up on your wall to help you celebrate your wins in English. And again, positive and friendly students and teachers. If you've ever emailed us or had homework corrected by us, you know that we don't just say, wrong, 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 terrible, terrible, terrible. No, we help you improve what you've already got. We affirm what you're doing well in English, and then we use any small mistakes to help bring you up to a higher English level. So it's a very positive, friendly environment. Okay. Let's move on to number 3, lack of a plan for your English study. So, little fun fact, if you search for Learn English online, you will get about 12 billion results, okay? The internet is wonderful, but it can also be overwhelming because there's just so much out there. And so a lot of students who answered my question about what's stopping you from becoming fluent in English would say, I just don't know where to start. I don't know which method to use or which teacher to follow or what to study first, what to study next, what to study after that. And if you're doing it on your own, if you're trying to learn English on your own, it is really challenging because, like I said, 12 billion results. How do you even choose? Okay. So this can also hold you back because it results in feeling overwhelmed, feeling like there's just too much and you can't choose. You feel discouraged because, again, you see how much English language learning stuff is out there and you just can't possibly do it all. You could feel paralyzed, which means you stop. You can't make a decision, so you don't take any action. Or you might feel scattered, meaning you jump from website to website and book to book and podcast to podcast and course to course, and then you're kind of all over the place, okay? It all helps, but you don't really see that incremental progress towards more fluent English. The tip I'm going to give you to this one is really simple. Keep it simple. Just pick one. If you find a teacher or course or method or a podcast or a book you like, go with it, run with it. Just keep following the lessons step by step. And you'll know exactly what you need to study next every day. Avoid getting distracted by all the other options. And then when you finish whatever that is, that course, that book, that podcast, then you can look for the next thing. So really try to keep it simple. I know there's so much out there, and I'm honored that you are on my live class today, and I hope you like my lessons here at Espresso English. Let's move on to number 4. Let me get my notes here. Lack of time. Who here feels like this is your problem? Let's see. Who here feels like they don't have enough time to really take your English to the next level? Let me tell you something. Lack of time is actually how Espresso English started. If you don't know the story, I was teaching English in classrooms in Brazil. I was giving group and private lessons. And I had a couple of students who they were women. They both worked full time. I think one was an engineer and the other one was in marketing or something like that. They had full-time jobs. They both had babies under 1 year old, so they had kids at a very challenging age. They had husbands. They had homes or apartments. They would travel back and forth to work, and they just could not always get to English class. Our classes were at night. Usually they would come straight from work to the English class, but sometimes it just wasn't possible because they had to work late or because their child needed them at home or because traffic was just bad. And so they asked me, they said, Shayna, I really want to improve my English, but um, I can't make it to class all the time. So can you just send me your lessons by email? And I did. I would every day that I gave a class, I would write up a summary and I would send it to them by email. And then later I progressed to making little videos and sending it to them. And they would study just on their lunch breaks and these little bits of free time they had. And that was actually how Espresso English started and became the wonderful resource now reaching millions of students around the world. So lack of time was the whole reason I got started with Espresso English. We're all busy, right? We are all busy. And one thing that tends to happen with people who lack time is that our study becomes inconsistent. So maybe one week we have, or one day we have a lot of time, so we do a lot of English study, but then we forget it, and maybe another week goes by before we have the chance to study again. And so we get all motivated and learn again because we have some free time, and then we forget it, and then 5 days goes by. 5 days go by, or 2 weeks go by. And so we're always learning and forgetting. But if you study consistently, like you can see in the picture on the right, that's when you'll actually be able to learn and build. So you're learning, you forget a little bit, but then you're quickly learning again and forget a little bit. That's normal and natural. Learn again, and you can see the upward progress, okay? But here's a little bit of good news. You don't actually need to study long hours. You don't even need to study for 1 hour. I know that it's very rare for me to have an entire uninterrupted hour. It's hard to fit it into my schedule. And so if you're waiting to find an hour where you can really sit down and take a full English lesson that's 1 hour long, you are often not going to find it. All of the other responsibilities and priorities and problems in your day are just going to squeeze out that time, and it's really hard to find an hour. If you have an hour, awesome, use it. But for most of us, it is hard to find an hour. But consistent small steps will take you far. So I put this little graphic, just 15 minutes at a time, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Most of us can find 15 minutes in a day, right? You might even be able to find 2 little bits of 15 minutes. Maybe you can find 15 minutes at the beginning of your day and 15 minutes at the end of your day. And this is more sustainable. It's not as much time total, but because you are doing it more often, you get that building effect, right? That I showed in here. You get that effect where what you're learning in each little bit of time builds on each other. So I would encourage you, don't beat yourself up. Don't try to find an hour. Try to find 15 minutes a day, and these consistent small steps will take you far, I promise. So if you lack time, what we can do is make time. What does it mean to make time? Make time means to change the way you use time in order to create space in your schedule for something important, okay? So you can't literally make more than 24 hours in a day, but you can change the way you use your time. And here are some of the ways that my students have done that. Like I mentioned earlier, listening to my English lessons while commuting to and from work, or maybe in some of those other situations I mentioned, while doing housework, while taking a walk. That is a way to make time for English even while you're doing something else. You can try waking up 15 minutes early to start the day with an espresso English lesson. I would love to be the start to your day so you can check off your English study, get it done, and know that you have whatever else happens during the day, you have learned some English. You can try replacing 15 minutes of social media with 15 minutes of English study. Most of us are probably guilty of too much time on Facebook and Instagram. And I know that if we replaced 15 of those minutes with just 15 minutes taking an espresso English lesson or interacting in the Conversation Cafe, that's the private social media network that I have inside the Espresso English Academy, that will also give you an English boost. And it's a way to take maybe some unproductive time on social media and turn it into productive time for English learning. Watch one of my videos while eating a meal or a snack. We all have to eat, right? 3 times a day at least. If you're like me, I like to eat like 5 times a day with snacks. So in that moment, while you're just taking a break to feed yourself, also feed your brain with some espresso English lessons. These are all just really simple ways that anyone can use to make time for English study. There's a saying, you make time for what's important to you. If something is important to you, you want to create space for it in your schedule. And if you're here today watching this live class, then I know that English learning is important to you. So let's try to make time. Just 15 minutes a day, maybe even a couple times a day, will make a huge difference in advancing your fluency. Okay, on to number 5, lack of motivation. Who feels like this? That one thing holding them back is lack of motivation. A lot of the student replies would say things like, I'm just lazy. That's very honest, but it's good to recognize that about yourself. I don't have the energy. It takes so long. It's true. Learning a language takes a lot of time, takes so much effort, and you just don't always feel motivated, right? Let's see. Even if you do think it's important to you, you're not going to wake up every day super excited about English learning. Some days it's just going to feel like, I have to study English again. Let's see. Anyone feel like they lack motivation? You can be honest with me in the chat. No solid goal or finish line. Oh, yeah. If you don't have a goal or you don't know where the finish line is in learning English, that can definitely cause you to lose motivation because it feels like it's just you're learning forever and ever and there's no end. Okay, some people feel like they lack motivation. Other people feel like they already have motivation. But for those who do lack motivation, a couple of tips for you. One is to find your why. Really think back or dig down and remember, why are you learning English? What made you decide to learn this language? Another way to look at it is what will becoming fluent in English enable you to do? Think about that and focus on that. That can really remind you of why you're even doing this. Why are you investing your time in learning English? Having that as your goal can definitely boost your motivation. Going along with find your why is to imagine or visualize success. We did a little bit of this at the beginning when I asked about what could you do if you were fluent, but think more specifically about your personal situation and your goals. So a couple of students I've had, one of them came in and he said, help me, Shayna. I have an English speaking manager at work. This was in Brazil. I have an English speaking manager at work. He's American. He's from Kentucky. That is a state where sometimes people have a strong regional accent that can be hard for English learners to understand. He said, help, I can't understand anything my manager says. I need to improve my English urgently. And of course, we worked together very intensely, but it was a very concrete goal he had. Success would be being able to understand and have a conversation with my American boss at work. And he did achieve it. Another one I've seen a couple of people in my academy who have their children have married an American or married someone from the UK, and they've moved to that country, and now they want to speak with their grandchildren who are being raised and now native English speakers. That's also a fantastic goal. So if you imagine yourself doing that, that's very motivating because you're thinking, yes, I would love to have just a pleasant, easy conversation with my grandchildren. And so that motivates you to open Espresso English every day, pick up your textbook every day, put in your podcast every day, and keep going with your English. So think about how that applies to you. What would it look like in your specific situation? Does it mean maybe traveling to an English-speaking country and having no problems in airports, being able to easily navigate through restaurants and stores without feeling embarrassed, like your English is weird or like people can't understand you? Would it mean getting a better or a different job, maybe working for a multinational company where English is spoken throughout the company as people from different countries come together as coworkers? What would success mean to you? And kind of focus on that. Although it's true that you never stop learning, when you have that goal in mind, it is easier to be motivated. The third suggestion I have for you, if you lack motivation, is to make English learning a habit. I saw this great quote, and I don't have it on a slide, but it says, motivation gets you started, habit keeps you going. So when you start something, you're usually excited about it, right? You're passionate, you're motivated, but as time goes on, and it just takes a long time, it's easy to lose that motivation. The thrill of starting something new is kind of worn off, and it's hard to get up that energy every day. But if you make English learning a habit, then you just keep going automatically. You don't have to depend on feeling that motivation to keep going. Kind of like brushing your teeth. Who here is super excited to brush their teeth every day? Not me, but we all do it anyway, right? We don't need to be super excited about it. It has become a habit. We just do it automatically. The reward is great teeth and good dental hygiene. And so the habit is what keeps us going, not those super excited feelings of motivation. The last thing you can do if you lack motivation is to use the little gift I will give you soon. We're coming almost up to the end of our class, but the free download I have for you is going to help you with habits and motivation. You might be wondering what it is. You'll find out in a minute. And a bonus tip, if you lack motivation, is to put some skin in the game. I'm very curious if anyone knows what this idiom means. Put some skin in the game. You can't translate it literally, right? It's one of those expressions that you just have to know what it means. You can't translate it word by word. It makes no sense whatsoever. Let's see. Okay, I'll tell you. So putting some skin in the game, this refers to the fact that when you invest in something, you naturally become more passionate about succeeding in it. So it's like if you have a free gym inside your apartment building, you often kind of think, I'll go tomorrow. It's free. It'll always be there. And as you can see, the gym is empty. You end up just putting it off or not going very frequently because it's free. It's always there. Now, if you paid $150 an hour for a personal trainer, and let's say there were no refunds, you had to pay for the time. And if you show up, you use the time. If you don't, you lose that money. You say, I'll be there. I'm paying. It's expensive. I'm going to be at every session. I want to get the most from what I have invested. When you invest in your English learning, it automatically helps you take it more seriously. It's just a natural human tendency. You're motivated to get the full benefit from what you've paid. And fortunately, unlike personal training, English learning is not $150 an hour. There is an app you can use to help you lose weight where you actually pay the app. You put in some money, and if you don't reach your weekly goal of weight loss, then you lose that money. It just It goes away. I have a friend who's using this, and so far she has never lost. The fact that she has invested, she has put some of her money at risk, means that she stays on track with her diet and her exercise, and she is successfully losing weight. She's taking advantage of this natural tendency we have to want to avoid losing what we've invested, so we take it more seriously. Okay, let me review our 5 fluency stoppers and the tips. So first fluency stopper, lack of practice. And we talked about different ways to look for or create those opportunities to practice your speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Things you can do whether or not you live in an English-speaking country. If you don't remember what they were, don't worry. This is being recorded, and in the video replay, you can go back through them and maybe pick 2 or 3 to focus on in creating your English practice routine. We talked about lack of confidence, and the solution is to build that confidence through positivity, tracking your progress, celebrating your wins, maybe with a success journal, and practicing in a friendly environment. We talked about lacking a plan, and I suggested just keep it simple. Pick something and follow it. You will make great progress. We talked about lacking time, and the solution is, first of all, just look for 15 minutes a day. Make that time by using your time creatively and make English learning a habit. And we talked about lack of motivation. So finding your why, finding your reason for learning English, imagining yourself succeeding, and the little bonus hack, which was to invest in your English learning, it will force you to take it more seriously. Natural human psychology. Okay, let me take a drink of water here. We are almost at the end of our time. I'm just going to take maybe 5 minutes to tell you about the Espresso English Academy, what it is, how it helps you become fluent, and a really good reason to join this week. After that, I will give you the free gift I promised at the beginning of this class, and then if we have time, I will take some questions. So the Espresso English Academy is a system of courses taking you step by step towards more advanced English in 15 minutes a day. You can see in this graphic, we have a study plan that takes you from the easier courses, basic grammar, practical speaking, basic vocabulary, up through the more advanced levels. And as I mentioned, the Academy now includes a new student discussion area where we can practice English together. I don't know if you can see in that little graphic, but it literally is like a Facebook group, but not on Facebook, to avoid distractions. And every day I post conversation starters and students answer in the comments. If you don't even have 15 minutes to study English, if you have just 2 minutes, a great way is to log in and try to respond to one of those conversation starters. And this shows you how the Espresso English Academy is a way to help with those fluency stoppers. So you're lacking practice? Well, in the Academy, we have quizzes, we have those speaking and writing tasks, and we have the student discussion. You lack confidence? Don't worry, you can practice with feedback and from positive and encouraging teachers, and the students I've seen in the Conversation Cafe are also very positive and encouraging. It's one of our group guidelines. If you lack a plan, as you saw a couple slides ago, we have a suggested study plan for you. Just go through the lesson step by step. Just start lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. Go through it step by step. You'll never have to worry about, what should I study? What should I listen to? What's next? Just follow the plan and you will make good progress. Lack of time. All of the lessons in there are bite-sized, meaning they are short and sweet, 15 minutes a day. Some of them you can even do in less because I broke up the lesson into just watch the video. Video's 5 minutes. Take the quiz. That might take you another 5 minutes. Try the writing practice. That might take you 10 minutes. And so you can even break it up into these little tiny pieces, check them off as you do them in just a few minutes a day. And if you lack motivation, from everything I've told you, just going through the courses, checking them off, getting that practicing, getting that feedback, you can see your English improving day by day. So a couple of cool student comments from inside the academy. This is Abdul Aziz from Iraq. And he said, my English became much better, like a magical experience. It's not magic, it's just good lessons and student dedication from Abdul Aziz, but he felt like it was magic. I feel supported and I can talk confidently. That's one of our goals, right? Talking confidently. And we have Vanessa from France who says, it is just amazing how my vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation have improved just by taking your courses every day. So Vanessa is being consistent with her study, right? She's taking courses every day. She mentioned specifically vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. We have courses on those specifically, as well as speaking, business English, phrasal verbs, idioms, and lots more. So really quickly, why join this week? Today is Monday, and there's a really good reason to join by Friday. So the Espresso English Academy is available at a, 58% discount. You can buy these courses one by one. And if you did, it would be over $700. But when you join the Academy, there's a pretty big discount, more than half off. And oh gosh, I got to fix these slides. When you join this week to celebrate the opening of that Conversation Cafe, that student discussion group, I have made a special 10-month payment plan available. So it ends up being just about $1 a day, 10 payments of $29.70. And that payment plan will be available until Friday, October 11th. After that, I will close it. You can still join, but the monthly price will be higher. It will be about, I think you can choose between $49 and $99. So if you want the $1 a day payment plan, it's really good to join before Friday. What happens after 10 months? Well, after 10 payments, the payments stop, your access continues, okay? There is no time limit. So this is not, you'll be charged month after month forever. After you've finished paying for the Academy, you get to keep the courses forever. So I put the link on the screen to join. It's courses.espressoenglish.net/academy. It includes all our courses and ebooks, an easy to follow study plan, teacher feedback on your speaking and writing, the student discussion group, and like I said, no time limit. Once you're done with those 10 payments, you get to keep access to the material, because I know it takes a lot of students more time to go through all of the lessons. We've got a lot of courses in there to help you. All right. We've got about 10 minutes left. So are you all ready for the free gift? Oh, before I get to that, let me just answer this question. Someone asked, what if I already have a few courses from you? Yes, if you already have a few courses from this collection, if you already have a few courses, you can get credit for those previous purchases and get a further discount on the complete set. So just email me, okay? help@espressoenglish.net. Ask me how much credit you have. I will find your account and see what you've bought in the past, and then give you a coupon code to use your credit. So I hope to see some of you in there. I would love to help you take your English to the next level and to see you become an Espresso English success story. Maybe I'll feature you on a future live class. Okay, free gift. Thank you for sticking with me to the end of this class. I really appreciate it. If you, like me, like checking things off and kind of having a visual reminder of your progress, I think you'll really enjoy this. I got the idea because my gym sent out something similar to motivate people to go to the gym more frequently, right? Going to the gym is another thing that we tend to just, I'll go tomorrow. But they sent this out, and I printed it out, and I put it on my refrigerator, and I started filling in the boxes. So I have made for you a printable English study tracker. Really simple. It's just a calendar. There's no dates on it. So that means you can use it over and over every month. And it's just a great way to visually see your progress. Print it out, put it up on your fridge or in your office or on your bedroom wall or someplace where you will see it often. And every day you study, fill in the box or give yourself a sticker. It sounds really silly, but it definitely motivates you because you think, oh, I haven't done my study today. I studied the last 5 days. I don't want to lose my streak. So you'll be motivated to study and get your next sticker or check mark. And as you can see here, there's two versions. I've done a blank one over here on the left. And this other one just has a little suggestion on where to focus your study every day. So it says Sunday, read, Monday, write, Tuesday, grammar, Wednesday, listen, Thursday, vocabulary, Friday, speak, Saturday, review. And then I mix it up every week. So this helps make sure that you are covering all the areas of English. You're not just, for example, doing too much grammar and not enough speaking, or maybe you are writing a lot, but you're not really listening. It helps you rotate from area to area. Okay, so the link for that is espressoenglish.net/habit. Okay, you can go there right now. I will also send this out by email if you're on my email list, and you'll be able to download and print out that habit tracker. Oh, yes, let me put the link in the chat. Let's see. Oh, I can't access the chat from here. Let me see if can someone write espressoenglish.net/habit in the chat? And that will make it easier for people to just click on it. So I hope you like it. I hope you use it. If you do print it out, I would love to see a picture. Take a picture, take a selfie of yourself with your English study tracker. Send it to me at help@espressoenglish.net, and maybe I will feature you on Espresso English social media. Okay. Let me see. Stop sharing here. Get back to here. Okay, I am back to my screen. Let me put the link in the chat, espressoenglish.net/habit. Yeah, okay, there it is. Link is in the chat. You're welcome. All right. In our last couple minutes, I would love to answer any questions you have. Let's try to keep them focused on what we learned today about the fluency stoppers and the tips to get past them. Or if you have any questions about the Espresso English Academy, when it comes to general English questions about grammar, vocabulary, save those. I will use them for future Espresso English videos, future Ask the Teacher videos, okay? Oh, the link to the course. Okay, sorry about that. Let me put the link to the Academy in courses.espressoenglish.net/academy. Okay, now both links are in the chat. There's the link to the Academy. There is the link to the habit tracker, and you will see on the Academy page, you just have two options. One is pay in full, and one is to do the 10-month plan. Okay, let's see. I will also send out the slides from today so you can review the notes. I will send out the video replay so you can go back over. I know I gave you a lot of tips, but I hope they were helpful. Let me see. Any questions I can answer in the chat? Here's one I want to address. Could you give me some advice on how to think only in English? That's a great question. Thinking in English is a skill that will definitely help you become more fluent because then you don't have to translate in your head, right? You can just speak naturally, just what comes into your head in English and say it in English. What I suggest for this, I do have a video on it. If you search for Espresso English, Think in English. But a summary is basically you start small. Start by thinking in individual words. So look around you and think, okay, I see light, computer, coffee cup, phone, paper. You just start trying to look around you wherever you are and think of all the English words that you can. Next step is to try to put those words into sentences. So you might think something like, the light is on. My coffee is cold, unfortunately. let's see, I printed the papers. I printed my notes. So just very simple sentences. You're just training yourself to think in English. And then from there, you move on to longer and longer sentences. And the great thing about thinking in English is this is a skill you can practice anytime. On your commute, while walking, when you just have like a moment of time waiting in line at the supermarket. Great time to practice thinking in English. It's a skill that will really serve you well for fluency. Okay, let's see. Some of you need to go. Is it possible to join the courses from Russia? I'm not sure. You might want to email me. Let's see. Speaking course do I have a speaking course for level A2? So I've roughly divided up the courses into kind of the more foundational ones are approximately A2, which is a high beginner. And then there's kind of more intermediate level ones and then more advanced ones. Everyday English speaking, level 1, I would say is on the A2 level. It focuses on practical English phrases for everyday life. And it then moves up within the course to some more sophisticated situations, like how to give criticism in English or how to give compliments in English, and some of those slightly more beyond just the practical English phrases. Thank you. I'm glad to see many of you enjoyed the presentation. And some of you, let's see. How to improve pronunciation. Really quickly, you improve pronunciation by practice, and one of the best ways to practice is called shadowing. So you would get an audio, you would listen to just like a phrase. You could even do it with this video if you want to do it with the replay. Listen to just a phrase and then repeat it. So if I say, here's how to improve your English, you would stop it and say, here's how to improve your English. And you would try to imitate my pronunciation, my rhythm of speaking as much as possible, the way I connect the words together, and just play it, pause, repeat, play, pause, repeat. And you're just trying to imitate. And so that's called shadowing. We actually have a course on it inside the Espresso English Academy where I show you the words on the screen and I provide the pauses for you to stop and repeat. Really easy thing that you can do with any audio that's available in English. And we also have an American English pronunciation class in there. Where we kind of go through the sounds of English. We go through those difficult sounds like the R sound, like the TH sound, and I give you exercises to practice. Also listen and repeat. Those courses also include personalized evaluation of your pronunciation where we give you some specific tips to improve. All right. Thank you for all the love in the comments. I really appreciate it. So glad everybody enjoyed. I'm going to wrap us up for today, but if any questions come up afterwards, you can email me again, help@espressoenglish.net, and we will be happy to get back to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this live class. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad to see you did too. And keep watching my emails because I'll send out the replay, the notes, the links, and everything else you need. Okay, everyone. Bye for now.